Badass Attitudes, licensed here, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. A fighter trains with the best and wins with a KO. Kelly Orchard's Podcast for Successful Badassery, certifying badasses, one podcast at a time, as we once more pave the way to getting licensed to be badass.
All right. Yes, that's right. We're certifying badasses one podcast at a time as we pave the way to getting licensed to be badass. There is a difference, okay? Because certified badass, okay, you've gone through maybe my badass certification class or you're listening to the podcast. But in order to be licensed to be badass, you kind of have to go through an entire program so that you understand what all of the acronym means and do the tools that go along with this. And that gets you the permission and the privilege of calling yourself a licensed badass. So for right now, unless you've gone through the program, you're a certified badass, and that's okay too. That's not a problem, right? All right. So, here's what we're going to cover today on Fruitful Friday. It's wrapping up March, the Badass Leadership Summit. So today I've got some simple steps to sharpen your skills in leadership, and we're flipping the format on fear and negativity. Remember that the D in badass, that's what we've been covering this entire month of March, means to decide that you're going to grow and succeed. And that is the hardest part about making a shift, is the decision that your life's not going exactly the way that you want it to go, and maybe you want something to happen that's different. And that means you've got to decide that you're going to do some of the work that it takes. And that does take some responsibility, respect, resilience, accountability, an action plan, and discipline. And that's how you get to be licensed to be badass, when you practice all of these things that get you certified as well. All right, so you know that badass is an acronym, and the D stands for decide and determine. So that's why I certify badasses by teaching you to flip the format on your fears. Wednesday, I had some fun with one of my most favorite times operating the family radio stations with a story about the dance team that I put together called the Q Crew. Now, if you didn't hear that, you can go back and you can check out Wednesday's podcast. But so, hey, Bobby. Okay, so we have one more Wednesday for the month of March where I'm sharing a tune from my badass soundtrack. And then it's going to be a completely different theme in April. So we have one last chance for me to share a song. And what do you think it's going to be, Bobby, huh?
Put on your boogie shoes.
Well, all right. Well, that's a really good hint. Okay, everybody, that's the hint. So I'll be certifying badasses one podcast at a time on this Fruitful Friday.
Be bold. Be brave. Be confident. Be badass.
So, we've all been through quite a bit over these past, this past year or so. But, the heart of your business, your community, and your relationships are still beating. Can you feel it? Seeking balance is critical in today's hectic and chaotic lifestyle, or even if you're just not doing anything. I spent years in a cycle of chaos of my own making until I was forced to stop due to a health crisis. This led me to find new purpose in teaching and guiding others to slow down and enjoy the journey. Making time to enjoy life allows you to improve your mental health and increases your ability to focus and succeed under pressure. I've learned that for me, having a ritual or routine each day helps me to keep balanced. So part of my strategic plan for balance includes the way I begin my day. I'm fortunate to live in an area that offers public walking trails in a park-like setting. So part of my morning ritual is to go for a walk and prepare my mind and my heart for the day ahead. And I do this by listening to music. Yes, my badass soundtrack. Sometimes audiobooks, but mostly it's music. So while I was out walking not too long ago, I was listening to a selection of some of my favorite songs and came upon the song Huey Lewis and the News, The Heart of Rock and Roll. Now, in previous podcasts and my workshops, I shared the psychological benefits of nostalgia and how it can improve mood and reduce stress. I've witnessed it many times with my clients, and I must confess, I love pop music with all its nostalgia, especially the songs of my youth. Dick Clark said, music is the soundtrack of our lives. And that's how I came up with the concept of your badass soundtrack. And more about this practice in my April podcasts, but meanwhile, I want you to put your heart into it. Yes, technology and technological advances impact digital media and consumerism, just as they impact the medical and the mental health fields and nearly every arena of life. Studies have proven that the integration of positive psychology, neuroscience, and new therapeutic developments have advanced as well. Positive emotions have an effect on the neurotransmitters and the biological functioning of the brain and the nerve centers in the human body. These positive thoughts and feelings have a way of rewiring our brains. Psychologists and medical scientists have proven that just as nostalgia can increase positive emotions and improve mood, so can the feelings of love. Love. Okay. Here we go. Love is one of the 6 universal human needs identified in strategic therapy and coaching. Many philosophers, psychologists, and theorists agree that there are only 2 fundamental emotions, fear and love. Love includes caring, and that means allowing for balance in your organization or your home. Love-based emotions are happiness, passion, joy, peace, and so on. And there's a spectrum of emotions between fear and love. Balance is necessary to achieve success in life, in your relationships, and in your work. Remember, fear isn't necessarily detrimental as long as you face it and own what you fear. Fear-based emotions are anger, anxiety, jealousy, frustration, and so on. So in order to flip the format on your fear and its potential negative byproducts, we need to practice more of the positive side of the emotions scale. Love. Listening to music, especially songs that stir up positive feelings, is an excellent way to improve your mood, spark creativity, increase energy, and balance your emotions. So when you love your people, they'll love you back. And love doesn't always imply something romantic. Love is a positive emotion, so simply consider love and fear as positive versus negative. So when you increase positivity in your own mindset and offer positive thoughts and feelings towards your team, you begin to shift the mood and tone in your organizational culture in a new direction. And this will result in very positive return on your investment. And by that, you increase of engagement and productivity among your team. You can reinvigorate positive energy in your life, your business, your team, your family. Your influence can actually transform everybody around you, giving them what they need to know and feel about their whole life, their career, their contribution. Well, that's badass leadership.
A badass is mindful of their surroundings, has a positive mindset and a plan. Kelly Orchard's Apple a Day. Good medicine for a badass.
That's right, Bobby. Kelly Orchard's Apple a Day is good medicine for a badass. And by the way, if you want to get the Apple a Day also on your phone, you can have that every single day. It's on the same platform that you're listening to this podcast. All you do is got to search for Kelly Orchard. You'll find the Badass Certifier and Kelly Orchard's Apple a Day on every podcast platform. So let me ask you this. How many apples are in a seed? Whatever seeds of growth you're planting will produce a fruitful harvest. And you don't yet know how huge that harvest will be. So just keep planting. Robert Schuller said, anyone can count the seeds in an apple, but only God can count the number of apples in a seed. One tiny seed of encouragement, compassion, education, a new connection, even a tiny bit of positivity can result in opportunities for your personal and professional growth. It's impossible to predict just how much good will come from it. And although a mystery, it's sure to lead you to something amazing. So make sure you're planting seeds that will begin to take root. Continue to be an encouragement to yourself, your family, your friends, your coworkers, and other professionals. You may be able to count how many people you interact with during any given day, but you'll really never be able to calculate how your actions, deeds, and responses are affecting those individuals and their lives. When you plant seeds of positive growth, you can rely on the idea that the effects are exponential. So keep it up. You're creating an orchard of growth that has far-reaching benefits. And then consider that all you need is love. John Lennon was so right when he's saying all you need is love. I read an article in Psychology Today stating that research suggests that love may be an important predictor of longevity. Did you know that having strong social relationships predicts a 50% increased chance of longevity? That's what studies show. According to this article, it's not just the strength of our relationships that predict longevity and a healthier life, but also the attitude with which we engage in those relationships. So while many may think that you need to find someone to love them, research shows that longevity and well-being come not primarily from receiving love, but from giving love to others. The qualities of your life that matter most are not in any way left to chance. They're yours to develop and strengthen every moment, even now, as you watch yourself grow.
Just as apples are a core ingredient to a healthy diet, Kelly Orchard's Apple a Day is a core ingredient to living a fruitfully badass life. How do you like them apples?
All right, so how do you like them apples? I love those apples. They were so much fun to write, and I keep getting to relive them constantly because there's 365. Actually, I think there's closer to 400 of them. So there is one a day, literally, for every day of the year. But even as I continue to repurpose them or use them for different purposes, they're always new and fresh for me as well. So it's kind of like pop something new every time I get to read those apples. So thank you. Okay, so you didn't come here to be a failure. Here's another part. Let's wrap up this Fruitful Friday. You came here to grow, but mistakes and failures are all part of growth. So when you fail, you succeed if you grow from it. Believe in yourself. Have faith in your abilities. Without a humble but reasonable confidence in your own powers, you cannot be successful or happy. That's what Norman Vincent Peale has to say about mistakes and failures. I know that I failed more times in my life, and I've had more personal and professional struggles in endeavors and businesses and relationships than I can even count. You're not alone in this. I'm right there with you and happy to help in any way that I can to lift you up once you failed and encourage you that failing is great. It just means that success is just around the corner. Did you know that Thomas J. Watson said about success? Would you like me to give you a formula for success? It's quite simple, really. Double your rate of failure. If you're thinking of failure as the enemy of success, but it isn't at all, you can be discouraged by failure or you can learn from it. So go ahead, make mistakes, make all you can, because remember, that's where you'll find success. Rudy Rudiger once said, when you achieve one dream, dream another. Getting what you want is only a problem if you have nowhere to go next. Dreaming is a lifetime occupation. And that's what I like. I'm addicted to dreaming and I'm addicted to hope. It's part of your life transition. The job or the career that you're in today, or was in last week or last year, may not be the same next year or in 5 years or so on. I meet a lot of people who are derailed because a company they worked for suddenly closed up shop, changed directions, had to downsize. Practice wisdom in your daily life of your job, your income, and your career. And honestly, always have a backup plan for the possibility of one job opportunity not working out. Have a backup plan for your backup plan. Basically, just make plans. Be prepared for numerous possibilities. When you keep dreaming of your next big adventure, everything that you will ever need to accomplish, any goal that you will ever set, is sitting and waiting patiently inside of you, like one of those seeds in the apple. Now, I've got friends and colleagues who are at the top of their game in leadership roles in major market businesses, and they occasionally come to me for coaching. Knowing that I'm also a therapist, they'll share with me their concerns in their work environment. And it's interesting to note that it's not always about something functional in the business. Consultants always talk about how to make your business grow, how to make it thrive, how to successfully make a ton of money. Okay, that's great. I too can give you checklists, to-do lists, navigate you into how to network or how to make a sales call and things like that. Just about anyone these days can do that. But the reality is, when you start experiencing issues that are stressors and conflicts with others, it all comes down to how we think, how we feel, which affects how we behave, which is all on the personal level. So when I say I promote perpetual personal and professional growth, they do go hand in hand. When you're experiencing problems at work, a badass leader will step back and see what they might be projecting onto the person you're having the issue with. And what are they projecting onto you? And how is this affected by something going on with you emotionally? So when you seek help and understanding for those issues that can't be resolved with another checklist or a scripted sales call, that's when you're really going to be making the shift. And that's part of the D in badass and badass leadership. All right, now, how about some weekend vibes? All right, weekend vibes. All right, fruitfulness all the time. Okay, so this weekend, how about taking a little bit of time and re-listen to the Wednesday Wisdom podcast for this month? Because I share the music and story that attached to it on my Badass soundtrack. Some of them I use in my Badass certification class. Some of them are brand new. Let those stories and the music inspire you to begin your own Badass soundtrack. Fill your weekend with some good tunes, some good vibes, and let the happy memories of nostalgia, along with the music, carry you away. It'll temporarily take away your aches and your pains and your sad thoughts. I say temporarily because it doesn't mean that you're forgetting that you have some of these issues, but you'll feel good. And then you'll be thinking more clearly. And some of those decisions that you need to make or some of the answers that haven't come to you, I'll bet you're going to have a brilliant idea as a result for the fact that you pulled back, you played with some music, and you had a good time. All right. So here's for Fruitful Friday. This is what you learned on today's podcast. We covered that, okay, March is my Badass Leadership Summit, and I gave you some more simple steps to sharpen your skills in leadership because we're flipping the format on fear and negativity. D is for decide, and that's the hardest part about making a shift in your life is the decision that it's time to do something. And then you've got to have an action plan, accountability, and practice some discipline. I'm here for you. That D in badass, decide and then be determined. So I certify badasses by teaching you to flip the format on your fears. Wednesday, last week, I had some fun with my most favorite time operating our radio station with the family with a story about my dance crew, the Q Crew, and I played You Can't Touch This from MC Hammer. Next Wednesday, Bobby's already given us a little bit of a hint. So what do you think I'm going to do for this Wednesday, Bobby?
I feel better when I'm dancing. Put on your boogie shoes.
Well, alrighty then. So, and then I also want you to know that you can catch up with me on Monday for Mustang Monday. Fun chats and badass tips from the streets to give you confidence, encouragement, tools to live a badass life, and so much more. I choreograph fun and positivity to give you just the attitude adjustment you need for your life and for a badass attitude, success in business, relationships. And that is the Successful Podcast. That is the Successfully Badass Podcast, or the Podcast for Successful Badassery, however you want to look at it. Thank you so much, and you guys have a great weekend. It is Fruitful Friday. How about some weekend vibes?
Kelly Orchard's Podcast for Successful Badassery. You're kind of like a radio station, playing good stuff or negative stuff. Choose positive and turn up the volume, badass. Grab your Badass Habits eBook. Get started on your badass journey. Go to licensedtobebadass.com.